Hello, artists. How are you today? Stephanie Aune coming to you once again here from the banks of the Trinity River, hanging out with Ozzy in the studio. We are very happy you are here with us today. Well, we've got our elephant in the room ready to get painted. I did do a little bit of shading on this one, definitely not as much as I did on the drawing the other day, but I am going over him with a coat of gesso because I again wanted a nice surface that I could easily paint on, and that coat of gesso really does make a difference. I briefly discussed the background, that border. It is a mixture of a deep violet color with one of those orangey reds. Now, if you mix those two colors together, you're going to get brown. I was looking for an eggplant color. So I basically put the paint colors side by side. And then I went over the top of it after it had dried with a coat of violet and sprayed some water droplets on it and picked them up. So that's how I got that great border. I really love how that turned out. So the process this time was trying not to do quite as many layers as I did in the last painting. Last painting I went over and over and over, and it was quite frustrating. So here I'm trying to just paint things a couple times instead of 5 or 6. So I am using contrasting colors with the orange and the purple. And when you go opposite of the color wheel, you're going to be able to make a lot of dynamic color choices. However, if you mix orange and purple, you do get brown. So that's okay for me. I don't have any brown coming up on this. With acrylic, you can just let the paint dry and layer it on top of each other. It's a great thing about painting with acrylic paint. It's very friendly. So now I'm going in and I'm putting in the room. And this is definitely a different way of doing things for me. You guys know I like to work background to foreground, so it's definitely a bit more technical. And I chose a very bright color initially. I was looking for a color again to kind of offset the highlights that I knew I was going to put into our elephant. So our highlights are going to be our warmer colors. So the oranges and the yellows. So always trying to think about what colors work best together. Now, once I had the back walls done here, or at least the first coat on the back walls, remember this panel was covered with a layer of gesso initially too. I would highly suggest to do that. It really only takes a couple seconds to do, and it makes the surface so much easier to work on. It really does make a difference. But this blue was just a little bit too bright. So, well, it wasn't yet. First I put some really kind of bright yellow color down here on the floor. I didn't really know what colors I wanted in there, what colors were going to look best with the purple. So I'm just, you put an undercoat down, and then you can put other colors over the top of it. And when you do that, you can create some good texture effects with your paint. So this is kind of like our middle tone here in the floor. And then here I'm coming in with a bluer tone over the top of it. We're still wanting to keep that background cooler colors. And the reason the reason for that, the floor and the walls and such, keeping them cooler. We're going to push that background or the environment in the back, and we're going to bring our elephant even more forward by doing that. So here you can see I did some color adjustment. It was a little bit too bright, and again, wanting to have the focus be on the elephant, we needed to darken down those background colors. And even though it feels like it's a kid's illustration, it's really not so much. You know, it's kind of a darker feeling piece, even though he's, you know, quite cute and adorable. It's not, if I was doing it for a children's book, I would have, you know, brighter colors and such. But this is, you know, truly the elephant in the room. And how do we get that conveyed in our drawing, painting? Something that's looming and uncomfortable. It was interesting, one of the comments on the drawing video, on my last video on this, is, you know, how it felt uncomfortable to the viewer. And I was pleased that it had that effect, because, you know, that's what we're going for. You know, that's what the elephant in the room is. So I'm putting down this yellow first. Again, kind of working on the highlight color here. And it is interesting, the color choices that came up out of this project. But they worked. And I just kind of had to keep playing with the colors until I had, you know, the tones correct. I don't always know exactly what color is going to go down. It's more of a feeling, it's more of an intuition, and sometimes the intuition's wrong, and I have to go over and repaint things. But that's okay. You know, we just have to keep making adjustments, and it's for the benefit of the piece. I do want to let you guys know, we're going to take a little bit of a break from doing these guys for a while. I need to be able to focus on some other things right now. So for the next couple weeks, I think I'm going to be posting some of the old Patreon videos. And I just need to take some time to get things done that I need to do. And so we will be taking a bit of a break from doing the ABC altered book, and hopefully we'll come back to it in not too long. But so if you start to see some old videos with long hair, that's why. It's because I'm pulling in some of the older Patreon videos so that people get to see these. It'll be, you know, I think videos that I did about a year ago. And those should be back on Wednesday and Saturday for our regularly scheduled stuff. And that way I can focus a little bit more on Patreon. We're doing a cool page in our coffee table art book, altered book. We are almost done with that, and we're working on the last page before we do the front cover. And I think Patreons, you guys will really dig this page coming up. It's exciting that this book is almost getting finished. But anyways, back to our illustration that we're working on here. What I'm trying to do is trying to make him feel like he has volume and mass. So you have to have a kind of a highlight there in the center of his leg, and then you have to build up your shadows, you know, trying to really create some good depth. Darker on the underbelly, Anywhere where there's going to be shadows, going to be darker. And anything that we want to be seen, we're going to have the highlight on. So building up and building up all of that different color. And just kind of trying to do some basic shading, trying not to do a super smooth texture on his skin. Elephants don't have super smooth texture. Trying to make him feel like his butt's overflowing in that chair. That's for sure. Oop. Still having a hard time finding the exact right paintbrush, but I did finally purchase some, so maybe I'll have less difficulties with that. I am looking forward to continuing this illustration series for our ABC Altered book, or as you guys know, I did put it on art panels here, but these definitely can be done in an altered book, sketchbook, whatever substrate you want. You do not have to do it on a canvas panel. But I do like working on this type of substrate for this type of project. Now I'm bringing in some of the warmer blues. Now, can a blue be a warm color? Well, it has a different temperature. So if you look at the center of the ear, ultramarine blue is kind of your really cool blue. And the cobalt blue does have a warmer temperature to it. It's not a warm color, but it has a warmer temperature. I hope that makes sense. As you can see, it comes forward more, and so I'm working here on trying to create dimension for his little ears, big ears. Putting the lighter blue on the outer edges so that they have, they're more noticeable and they stand out from the background better. This is going to be hard to overlay 30 minutes worth of video, but we'll just kind of work our way through it. It's early in the morning for me. Health-wise, I haven't been sleeping well at all. I'm still waiting to get my medicine. Having to go through the insurance companies is making it definitely frustrating. But I've got all the testing done. I'm just kind of waiting. Left messages yesterday, and hopefully I get some sort of response today. It's been a couple weeks now, so hopefully I can get moving on things. But, sleep schedule's been a little bit messed up. We had a nice rain the other day. It was absolutely beautiful out yesterday. That was really nice. So here what I'm doing is I'm bringing in where we want our attention to focus to. We want the attention to go to his face. So I ended up having to kind of paint over his tusks a little bit and his nose because I really wanted to not have any type of paint seam where there's a spot where that's not painted. So I'm coming in with gesso to give myself a really good base so I can put some highlight color down on there. It's much easier to put yellow over white than it is to put yellow over blue. It just doesn't work. So just take the time, put a little gesso down. It doesn't take long. And, it's a tool that you should have on your table anyway. So gesso is an important tool. It's an awesome tool. And it should be a friend. Make it your friend. So I wanted his toes to stand out. So we're using the opposite color again. And then here's where I start to really start to layer the colors. So when you put contrasting colors next to each other in layers, the purple to the orange, you're going to bring your eye or the viewer's eye to that area. So that's why I'm kind of stacking the blue, orange, and purple colors as I go along here. The orange color is warmer than the red color, that rosy color that's up on top of his head. So that orange color will pull forward. As you can notice here, even with that little stripe right there, I didn't use yellow yet. Yellow is our brightest color that we have in our spectrum. So as humans, we see that bright yellow the most intense. That's neon yellow and neon green. So I, especially in this painting, have reserved using the yellow until we get to the part where I really want to bring attention to his face and any highlights. So even though that chair that he's sitting on is kind of that greeny yellow color, that does get changed somewhat, and we needed to see that that was a chair. We needed to see that that was under there. So that's why I have that color. It does get adjusted, like I said. Don't be afraid to move your artwork as you're working on it. Just because you have your book directly in front of you, you can always pick up and move your artwork. And that's one of the things I really am enjoying about using these panels over a book, is it's just really easy to work on. For doing this type of detail work, I think it was smart of me to move out of my book. I did have there is a video on prepping the book and all of that. If you go under the ABC Altered Book series, you can see the first couple paintings that I did within the book before deciding to move onto the panels. So that's why it's called an Altered Book series, even though I'm not working in an altered book. Just changed my mind. Now here we're putting in some shadows under his butt to really make him feel like he's sitting in that chair. Got to get those low lights in there. Low lights, shadows, they are just as important as the highlights. Coming in with my gel pen, I really wanted some good white eyes here. So here's one of my new paint brushes. This is just a barrel, standard round, nice fine tip though. It's a nice paintbrush. The only thing I didn't like about it is it has a place for your hand instead of being a circular handle. It has kind of a triangular grip on it. That I actually found quite annoying. So here you can see that I'm just kind of continually building up the color. And I'm not doing a lot of the ink work that I did, with the previous ones, where I would do ink and paint and ink and paint and ink and paint. I was really wanting to minimize that. So I'm saving all of the inking for the end. And that's kind of where the whole painting comes together. It's hard. It's hard to do that because I'm having to envision where all of those different lines are going to be at. But the technique worked out quite well. So now I'm coming in with the brightest color in the spectrum, the bright yellow. And we bring in that bright yellow to really draw our eye, or draw the viewer's eye, into the face, into the spots where we want the focus to be. So that's how you create a focal point, a center of focus, even within one image, right? Is we draw the viewer by contrasting color, by highlights and lowlights, so value contrast. So it really helps to, if I hadn't focused that yellow on his face, you wouldn't be as drawn into the image. So, even though the whole elephant is the focal, the face of the elephant is the center of focus. Trying to do kind of, pushing his eyes, the upper part of his eyes, and kind of pushing that back a little bit. Okay, here we go. Forgive the pretzels. Needed a little snack. Coming in with our Signo Impact 207. It's a great pen. It's a gel pen. It is water soluble. You have to watch out for that. But now, if your pen isn't working very well, reduce the pressure on, as you're pushing down. You got to reduce the pressure a little bit, and then occasionally there you have to kind of wipe off the nib of the pen. I didn't really let it dry all the way, so the longer that you can let it dry before you put the ink over, the better. I just really wanted to get his face in there. It's like, what do I have? I can't see what I have until I get my pen work in. And here it is. Here he comes. Now I have the Monkees song running through my head. Here he comes, walking down the street. Get the funniest looks from everyone we meet. Sorry. I hope I didn't get that in your head. But I always have really weird little songs going through my brain. So I'm just slowly building up the inking. I mean, this is at 400 speed. So, and this, I wanted to have kind of our squiggly lines, but on the other hand, I wanted that room to feel right. So I did go through and took my ruler and made sure that my lines were parallel, and that I had a good start. And then I went over it again to kind of loosen that up a little bit. Kind of did a little bit squigglier, is that a word? Squigglier line. So here we're kind of, I'm putting in the TV, putting in our fun little legs. The color on the TV is wrong. It works as it looks like a TV screen, but if you kind of squint at it, if you squint at the painting right now and you see that square of gray color, it just doesn't fit in there. here I am putting the flowers on the chair, because why not? I had another comment on that somebody loved the flowers on the chair, so I forgot who commented it, but I put the flowers in for you. Let's see. I'm trying to get those eyes just right. It's tough. I'm coming in with the Posca pen to see if I can't get a little bit better highlight where I want it. I was dealing with a touch bit of paint chipping with the gel pen over the top of the eyes, because those eyes had been built up so much between the gesso and the white paint that I used on it. So I, was having a hard time getting them just perfect. And I'm not going to leave them not perfect at this point in time. Now I'm coming back over with my white gel pen. This is again a Signo. These are all down in the Amazon links if you're interested in purchasing. If you could use the Amazon link, that'd be awesome. It'll take you right to the tool, and you go from there. As you check out, I will get a small credit for it. That'd be awesome. Just really trying to get those eyes as perfect as I can get them. They're so important in illustrations like this. I do think this guy was quite successful. It took me a while to get him done. I probably worked on him, I would say at least 5 or 6 hours painting. That doesn't include all the rest of it. So this video's footage is probably 4 or 5 hours of footage that I condensed into a half hour. So these illustrations, they're definitely very time consuming for me for doing as videos as a single video. But I do love to do them. I think that it's really interesting. But like I said, we're going to take a little bit of a break from doing the ABC Altered book. I think I'm going to be bringing in the other half of the Secret Garden Simple Exposure Altered book that we did last year. And those will be available here on regular YouTube again on Wednesdays and Saturdays. See, there's the adjustment on the TV. And it just sat it back down into the background, putting a highlight on the edge that's closest to the viewer, and it really just makes it sit right back there instead of being quite so noticeable. And super easy to adjust. It was just a light wash of color. Bringing in just a little more highlight on his ears, on his eyes, down his nose, trying to give it good wrinkles, and bringing in the dark and kind of going over those same areas, working again on the contrast. Putting in the final little touches. We're just about done, guys. I want to thank you so much for being here. If you've watched the whole video, please give me a thumbs up. Now you can give a thumbs up on your smart TV, guys. Just look for the 3 dots that is above the main play line, and you can actually give me a thumbs up on your smart TV. I would greatly appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. You can do that over on your smart TV too. Alright, so I did a line of India ink to kind of get a fat border. I did a quick line of white to set it off a little bit. And I've signed my name. You guys have a great day, and we will chat soon. Oh, there was Brady Cat. Bye-bye.